everyone, and welcome to Rewind, the retro video game show coming to you live every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, right here on the AWS for Games channels on YouTube and Twitch. My name is Chris Melisinos, and I'm the principal evangelist for video games here at AWS. And on today's episode, look, we're going to go back and revisit the Atari 50th anniversary celebration by Digital Eclipse. I cannot seem to get out of their stranglehold that they have on releasing amazing Atari history pieces. And today we're going to explore a new downloadable piece of content that they have. I believe it's $8 right now on Steam. And this is the first console war. So in addition to the history of Atari and the arcade and the consoles and their home computers, and then taking a look at the wider world of Atari, Digital Eclipse, now part of Atari, has released, again, this new downloadable collection that gets added to that Atari 50th anniversary celebration that talks about the very first console war between Atari and Intellivision. So Atari was actually able to acquire the rights to a wide variety of Intellivision properties recently. And the incredible, amazing, developers over at Digital Eclipse, who are just excellent at bringing us this retro game content, had taken a bunch of those properties and actually made them available for release, download, and playable inside of this collection here. So we're going to go ahead and explore the Atari and Intellivision days when they were, vying for market share. They were competing for customers' mind share. They were competing for developers' mind share, and they set off the very first console war. So let's head on over to the living room and check out this incredible downloadable DLC, the first console war. All right. So yeah, this is if you've watched Rewind before, this interface will look familiar to you. This is the Atari 50th anniversary or celebration interface, really done like a museum. It looks amazing. And they just keep adding to it, which is just awesome, right? So we have here now, with the collection, if you get all the downloadable content that's available to you, we have the arcade origins, we have the birth of the console, we have the highs and lows of Atari back in the day, the dawn of Atari PCs, 1990s and beyond. Then we jumped into the wider world of Atari, and they talked about some of the additional innovations that they had. And now the very first console war. Now you have to remember, back when these systems were released, when the Atari 2600 and then the Intellivision were released, video games were still really new in the minds of consumers the world over. And we were used to Pong, and then we were used to some of the earlier Atari VCS games. But along comes this incredible group over at Mattel that creates this product called the Intellivision, and it stood for Intelligent Television. And this was a system that was not a full generational leap forward, but did have certainly additional capabilities that the Atari 2600 or VCS, as was known back then, didn't have, including a really innovative controller that actually had a full keypad on it, a 16-way disc that you used to control it, 4 fire buttons, as opposed to the Atari 2600's single red fire button on their joystick. So this gave way to more complex games that in some ways were really reaching beyond the capabilities of the Intellivision at the time. But Mattel also understood that it wasn't enough to compete with a console. They wanted to make sure that their content could make it out to other platforms as well. And so they ported a variety of games over from the Intellivision to the VCS, and these were known as the M Network series of games. So I assume we're going to see these in the body of this content. So this is the first time I'm getting a chance to look at it, so we're going to go ahead and explore it together. If you have fond memories of the Atari or Intellivision or games in that era, go ahead and hit me in the chat and let me know. And yeah, let's go ahead and jump in and, start streaming this here. All right, let me see. Where are we on our stream health here? Want to make sure that we can see everyone there, and our stream preview is right there. Okay, so we are live on Twitch and YouTube, and here we go. Let's jump into the first console war. I love those sounds. Oh, so good. So what if the company behind the television also created cartridges for the Atari 2600? The answer was M Network. Look at that. Got that one right. And the story starts in the late 1970s. Now, per usual, when I go through this content, I'm not going to show you everything that it has to offer because you need to experience that for yourself. But we'll go ahead and take a look at a number of pieces of media that are included here. And we'll go, of course, play through a bunch of the games. So, hey, if you're listening over there, friends at Digital Eclipse, stop releasing amazing content. I have other games and companies to go ahead and review. I keep coming back to your stuff because you are amazing. We love you over there. Mike Micah, Tom Russo, Chris Colin, the whole rest of the team, Dan Amrick, everybody over there at Digital Eclipse at Atari. So, all right, let's go ahead and jump in. Mattel Electronics, successful toy manufacturer since the mid-1940s, Mattel expanded into handheld electronic games with Auto Race in 1976 and Football in 1977. When both became huge hits, the fledgling Mattel Electronics division looked for its next electronic success. So here was this Auto Race game, and this basically had rows of red LED lights that represented the cars that would drive towards you. And you just had to move your LED light from center to left or right lanes and avoiding as many cars as possible to get the highest score. Incredibly simple by, even standards back then. But this is the first time we had portable electronic games and things like that. And so we were willing to give them a lot of leeway in terms of what constituted a game that you would get, right? All right. Intelligent Television, Atari's success with the VCS led Mattel to consider the potential of a TV-based gaming machine. However, the cutting edge in television would come from humble beginnings within the toy maker's hall. So let's go ahead and check out this video here.
After the success of the Atari VCS,
Don Daglow, yay!
Mattel, as a toy company, looked at this and said, maybe we should consider getting into this business.
They started their Mattel Electronics division releasing handheld games. Their handheld football, which was an LED game, was a smash hit.
Somebody had the idea that the TI, Texas Instruments calculator chip, could also be used for games. It worked in calculators, we could make a game out of it. That's where those handheld games came from.
When I first saw it, I'm like, how is this football? Because the field is only this big. How is this 100 yards? And then, of course, you play it and you realize you have to go multiple times to get a touchdown. But, oh man, it was great.
The Atari VCS was being sold in toy stores. Mattel did not like giving up shelf space and consumer dollars in toy stores. And I think as much as anything, it's that sense of holding your position, holding market share in the toy industry. That plus the sense that there was a potential here, I think, is what drove the decision.
Mattel saw that Atari was
David Crane, of course, creator of games like Pitfall, pretty amazing.
Decided to make their own console, which they called the Intellivision.
They had an outside consulting group make a...
And Don is one of my absolute favorite people in the whole industry, and still active in game development today. Amazing.
Led by a man named Glenn Hightower to develop the system and develop cartridges for it. So he ran this company, APH Technology Consultants. Mattel found him and contracted him and his company.
Look at the ads from that era too.
And
pretty awesome.
The end of 1979, they test marketed the Intellivision, and then it went full release in 1980.
They test marketed the Intellivision video game console in Fresno, California, and it tested out great. And this was late 1980, and that was when the radio ad got put on the radio. I was actually driving home from work one day, and I heard an ad on the radio, and the ad said, "Do you want to work in the exciting world of video games?" And I didn't know whether to look down at the radio or look up to God. I was being talked to it this way. And would you like to help shape the future of this exciting...
Yes, would like to help shape the future of this exciting medium.
I did not believe that I had been programming video games for 9 years. Eventually they realized I was telling the truth, and I got hired as one of the original 5 in-house programmers at Mattel. So the original 5
All right, we're gonna cut it off there because you need to experience for yourself the original 5 and the group. They became known as the Blue Sky Rangers inside of Mattel. Pretty awesome. After a successful test during the 1979 holiday season, the television rolled out nationwide in early 1980, offering 10 games and the promise of add-ons that would turn the console into a home computer. Mattel priced the machine at $299, a full $100 more than the VCS, and was certainly worth it at the time for people that could go ahead and afford it. I mean, these are, again, 1979 prices, so these are hundreds and hundreds of dollars in today's in today's prices, right? So these were very expensive toys, and the module that was supposed to turn the Intellivision into a home computer was known as the Aquarius, and it is an incredibly difficult system to go ahead and actually collect for. If you can find one, it's going to cost you, a lot of money to go ahead and acquire it. So, and there was this notion that we were going to use video game systems as a way to bring computers into the home and eventually turn that game machine into a general purpose computer. So Intellivision may have been the first one to kind of, take that step forward. But ColecoVision decided to go ahead and do this with the Atom add-on. And then we saw Nintendo with a port at the bottom that intended to turn it into a home computer as well. So this was, kind of a way to get parents to acquire, to buy the game system, let the kids play, but then know that eventually they're going to be able to play or turn it into a computer to do proper computer things with. Didn't quite materialize that way. All right. Interacting with the VCS and television felt as different to players as it did to programmers, and both groups share their experiences here. We're going to probably go back and listen to that one for a little bit. The revolution will be advertised in television TV commercials with print ads featuring sports writer George Plimpton targeted the weakest points of the VCS with remarkable candor. The ads would set the tone for the first console war. Important to listen to this.
I'll try almost anything. So when Mattel Electronics asked me to compare their Intellivision games with Atari, I gave it a try.
Mattel started making these commercials with George Plimpton, comparing the
Yep, Leonard Herman, amazing game historian, incredible books. Definitely go read it. Micah, yay! Just longtime friend, incredible game developer as well. Yeah, look at all these folks. Gary Kitchen, David Crane. Amazing.
If you could afford a Intellivision and you weren't stuck down in the, dregs with your Atari machine.
As a generation of kids and adults were told every night on television by our Intellivision ads, it was a clearly superior video game console.
And so you'd see this really amazing baseball game on the Intellivision that in our eyes back then looked like real baseball, and then you see some blocks over on the 2600 and weird sounds coming out, and baseball talks on the Intellivision. 2600 makes beeps and that sort of thing. So
that's right.
Beg you to compare it yourself and make the decision.
I compared Atari baseball.
Yeah, so these are the ads. These are like the real first console war ads, really when we're showing competing product to try to drive consumer spend, right? And this is something that we would see get really amped up in the 1980s or the late 80s and then into the 90s with Sega running their campaigns like Genesis does what Nintendo don't, and really kind of going back and forth, right? This was the origin of the very first console wars. All right, so you need to go and again experience this for yourself. Here you go. 2 pictures are worth 1,000 words. If we hide those controls so we can see it, this is the way their ads shaped up, right? So Atari there on the left and television on the right, and they would just talk about how much more advanced and lifelike it was, and it was, and it looked a whole lot better than the original Atari versions of specifically sports games played, right? And not everything was better on the Intellivision, right? To be clear. but certainly there were enough to go ahead and drive a competitive wedge in the market. And then M Network, it may seem unfathomable to modern gamers, but in 1982, the manufacturer of Intellivision designed and sold games for its biggest rival, the Atari 2600. Was the M Network initiative a cunning business decision or a simple sign of surrender? All right, let's go ahead and hear what they had to say here.
Mattel Electronics had no interest in making cartridges for the Atari 2600. What happened was this Glenn Hightower, who made the original cartridges for the Intellivision, he realized he got a bad deal out of it. Whatever games they sold to Mattel, they would get $30,000.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Mattel would turn around and sell
and let's
like
go ahead and
50
click through a little bit of this.
and
Let's see if
get
they're going to show any of
39%.
the
They
ads.
started making it in game.
The meeting where, as a company.
So what I notice about this DLC has much longer interviews in here as well. So definitely worth digging into. But let's go and see what's down here. Be the judge of that, or I'll be the judge of Mattel's challenge to let players decide for themselves who games are superior, extended to M Network, as this promotional button illustrates. Unscramble and Win Deluxe Fold-Out Advertisement offers reader a puzzle to pique their curiosity. Unscramble the M Network video game word jumble for fun and games. Word jumbles, my goodness gracious. Here's the advertisement for M Network games. I mean, that is baseball on the Atari 2600. Compare that to Atari's version, right? And it's clear that the M Network version was a whole lot better. Okay, let's go ahead and let's see. M Network cartridge case was based on some of the same one used for Intellivision software. None of the M Network games share the title with their Intellivision inspiration. That's really important. So the cartridges, like as you can see here, Space Attack, which I believe was either Space Armada or one of a different name. They never shared the same name. So there was like Astro Blast, I think, and then Astro Smash. And so they always used a different name for their M Network versions. But the cartridge shape, it's got a wider base that fits the Atari VCS or the Atari 2600, but it's got a narrower format on the top, which were the size or roughly the size of Intellivision cartridges. So they still leaned into the design of their own cartridges, even while they made cartridges for competing platforms. So you always knew when you had an M Network cartridge because it just looked different, felt different than the other cartridges that were on the Atari. M Network game cartridges started appearing in stores in late summer of 1982. Facing a crowded market, developers attempted to set a high standard for 2600 software with a line of visually striking titles and diverse gameplay. All right, so this is where we're going to be able to jump in and start playing some of these games. So this is Astro Blast, which I believe is going to be Astro Smash. Let's see. Yeah, so this is the Atari VCS version of Intellivision's Astro Smash called Astro Blast on the 2600. So yeah, but look at these features. For one player at a time, compete with friends for the best peak score. Not a high score, it's a peak score. 2 firing modes and 2 speed options. Shoot down a variety of fast-moving targets, falling meteors, spinning bombs, guided missiles, even a bomb-dropping UFO. And yeah, you can use a paddle controller or a joystick controller, but I'm going to be using a joystick because that is what I have available to me. So let's go ahead and play. Oh my goodness, yeah, that is way too fast to be using. You do need a paddle for this one. My goodness, yeah. Wow. Okay, let me see. Well, let's see if it'll let me do that actually. Let's see if I can use a different control here. Let's see if it's going to let me do that. No, it's not. See, wow, that is too fast. Oh my goodness. See, now what happens is when the asteroids pass the bottom of the screen, you lose points. When the and so you want to shoot as many as you can and let as few pass the bottom of the screen and also don't get hit. And then you'll have the UFO that's going to drop a bomb that you have to blow up. Otherwise, it'll kill you no matter where it lands on the bottom of the screen. Definitely need a paddle controller for this. Now, the cool thing is that the team over at Digital Eclipse, they released a 3D printable paddle controller or adapter that you could then use on your Xbox 360 controller, which is what I'm using here, my Xbox One controller, and it basically turns it into a paddle control. Now, it's not as precise as, you know, a real analog paddle control, but it's pretty darn good. So you can find out instructions for that online. Yeah, there's the bomb. Want to go ahead and get that first. Woo! Yeah, these games are all about just getting a high score and not getting frustrated and, oh! My goodness. All right, yeah. So I'm just going to actually, instead of hammering the fire button, let's just go ahead and hold it down here. Yeah, we want to keep firing there. So look at that. You know, you've got the landscape at the bottom of the screen that's supposed to represent, you know, an Earth-like place that you're defending. And it's Astro Smash, right? It played pretty much the same way, even if it looked a little squat, right? We would get that on Atari games quite often. You'd have out of proportion sprites or characters on the screen. No real sprites, but, well, yes, you'd have out of proportion objects on the screen, and they would be squished like that. So you see how my ship is kind of, again, squat. If you played the Intellivision version, it's a taller ship. But yeah, so this was M Networks. Oh, next level. Ooh, see, we got it going now. Yeah, and this one is not easy at all to play. Oh, with an analog stick. Anyway, so yeah, that is Astro Smash, or Astro Blast, rather, excuse me. And let's see, what else did they have in here? They have full screen mode. You have your TV border, or filter. You have your border on. Yeah. Let's go ahead and quit this, and let's go back and check out the next game. Next game is Star Strike, one of the few games shares name with Intellivision inspiration, so they did share it there. Star Strike's gameplay, which players try to bomb targets while piloting a speeding starfighter down a narrow trench, recalls the ending scene of Star Wars. If players fail, they'll see the alien superweapon launched at nearby planet Earth. I'm going to go ahead and actually grab a prop right off screen here. Because one of the things about doing game preservation and also just being a retro game nerd is you have a lot of materials around that you can draw from. So here is a copy of Electronic Games Monthly from 1982. And I do believe that there is an ad for that game. Oh, look at, here's the ad right here in the front of the magazine. So this is the ad that we were just talking about that's included in the DLC here, right? The first Console War one. But one of the things that they talked about was the about this game, Star Strike, and the ad was something like, your living room is going like 1,000 miles an hour, or you're playing Star Strike, right? So there's a very cheeky ad there. Oh my goodness. Just as an aside, I totally forgot about this. This is something that you're never going to see again. So here are, like, you know, video game branded cigarette lighters, you know, that are being advertised in kids magazines. So we don't get too many of those anymore. And of course, on the front cover here is an Intellivision game of football. But I'll have to look and see if I have the other ad around here for Star Strike. But let's go ahead and jump in and play a little Star Strike. All right, yeah, and again, remember, I mean, this is trying to emulate or simulate 3D perspective. Okay, shoot. All right, now what do I need to do here? I need to... Oh, there is now. They're going to blow up the Earth. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh. Listen to those sounds. My goodness. All right, let's go ahead and try that again. Here we go. All right, come on, Star Strike. Let's go. Okay, now, I think... Okay. Oh, there we go. Come on, I want to get above him there. And basically, you have to kill, you know, all these different aliens, get them out of the way. Come on. And you can see you have a little shadow, so you know how high you're going. There we go. Blew them up. Oh! Yep, blew up the port there, so they can't fire on the Earth. And you basically want to go and save the Earth before it gets into range. Oh, shoot. Okay, and you have to just avoid this guy here. No, 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 no. You have to avoid him, and you want to basically try to drop the bombs on these guys here. No, and they're basically filling up power, right, for to go ahead and fire on Earth. But we're doing pretty good right now. And again, you know, they were trying to depict, you know, a scene where you were moving really, really fast down this trench, because clearly, you know, with Star Wars having just been out, that is what, you know, what we thought space fights were going to be. Oh, here we go. Come on. Come on. Yeah, we went ahead and blew that up again. Oh, we cratered. And of course, now we're going to lose our planet to... Oh, no. Terrible, 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 terrible. But again, while not as graphically impressive as the Intellivision version, it was basically Star Strike, right? So you had a chance to go ahead and play it. So it was pretty... again, you have to put these in the context of the era in which they were launched, right? And what type of games we had available to us at that time. That's Star Strike. Armor Ambush, based on Armor Battle from the Intellivision, looks and plays like a faster version of Atari's own Combat, which was itself based on Atari's arcade game Tank. Designed for 2 players, Armor Ambush features more varied terrain than Combat and the ability to swap between 2 tanks during play. I'm not playing with somebody else right now here in the studio, so we're not going to go ahead and jump into that one, but we can go ahead and kind of take a look at what the game looked like here on the back. And so you could see it's a more graphically advanced version of the old Combat game on the Atari VCS, or the Atari 2600. Dark Cavern, 2600 version of Intellivision's Night Stalker. Dark Cavern traps players in a single screen maze with only limited ammunition to destroy the robot enemies. Crafty players discovered that lingering in the spawn area would keep them safe. An unofficial pause mode from when a gamer needed a brief break. Think about how innovative that was back then, to actually have a way to pause a game. We didn't have that back during this era, right? So that was a big deal. That was a big deal. So let's go ahead and play a little bit here. And I think I should be able to, yeah, let's look at the instruction manual here. Another thing I love about this collection, right? The manuals were so important in this era of games. We don't have that problem today because we're able to completely, you know, tell the player what they need to do, and can describe, you know, all the mechanics through emergent gameplay. But in this era, we needed those manuals to help us understand what we needed to do, because a lot of the shapes are just abstract, right? And so it was important to have these. So let's go ahead and look at Dark Cavern. And let's zoom in here and figure this out, how to play. It's a battle survival underground cavern. Yes, we know. All right. Your man starts with 20 bullets. Every few seconds, a gun flashes on the screen. Land in it before it disappears. You get 10 more bullets. Shoot at any of the nasty cavern creatures, and you use up 1 bullet. Watch out for the blob. Run into him, and he steals your bullets. Game ends when all 5 men are blown away by the robot's final score is displayed. So this is just a high score game, choosing difficulties there. That's how you enter the cavern. Start off with 5 men. Let's see. So push the man up, down, left, to right. Each man can run and shoot. When you lose a man, the next man appears at the top trap door in the center of the screen. A white number briefly shows in the upper right corner of the screen, blah, blah, blah. That's all of that. Blobs, robots, such and such. All right, it's a high score game. Let's go ahead and jump in and play a little bit. Here we go. Yeah, so it's just survive as long as you can. Oh, that's what I forgot about this game. Okay, so when you start running in a direction, your character continues to move in that direction. So you want to be careful because, see, oh, that's right, robots need 2. Robots need 2. All right, yeah, there we go. And we got you now. Oh, my goodness. Woo! Okay, come on. Let's see what that spider's gonna do. Okay, got him there. Yeah, the robots, those are the ones you want to really look out for. Gotta get more bullets. Yeah, just keep going until you run out of lives. Okay. I wonder if I can go out through the side. So this is, you know, it's a bit of action kind of shooter, as well as a little Pac-Man-y type of maze. Oh, no, I can't. Oh. Okay. Whew. All right. Will it let me go through? No, I can't go through this side there. I thought I'd be able to, but nope. No deal. Missed the gun, and I only have 3 bullets left. Shoot, no more bullets. So now I just have to avoid everybody until I can find another ammo dump. So let's go. Oh, shoot. Well, the good thing, though, I think, is that just the number of characters they can get on screen will help me, because they're not going to be able to put 100 enemies on screen here, right? Ah, I can't believe he did that. Hey, don't laugh. That's not right. All right, here we go. Here we go. Man, that is fast. Jeez. Shoot, I only have 3 bullets left. Okay, now I got to find more bullets, and then after I pick up the next run here, we'll go ahead and move on to a different game. Nope, that's it. Oh my goodness. All right. So yeah, that one is Dark Cavern. Really good. You know, it's a fun action game, right? High score type of game. It's not very complex. Just fun to jump into. All right, Frogs and Flies. This one is basically you have to go ahead and leap and catch the flies before your opponent does. Shoot, come on, let's see. And so what you're doing is you're kind of working through 2 arcs, right? You have your one, there we go, just grabbed a fly. So you're kind of trying to figure out the arc that you jump in, and then grab the fly when you're in the arc. And you basically just jump back and forth between the 2. This game featured in the cult classic Grandma's Boy. But I believe they were playing the Atari 2600 version called Frog Bog, I think it was. Not the I don't believe it was the M Network version of it. But yeah, this one was Frogs and Flies. Again, Frog Bog was, right? That's the one? Yeah, Frogs and Flies, yeah. I mean, all you're doing is pressing left or right and then the fire button to... Well, it sounds like, if you're critical of Sonic the Hedgehog games, right? You just press to the right and jump. But yeah, all you're doing is hopping from lily pad to lily pad and just trying to grab more flies than your opponent. And I'm at 12 right now, so I don't know if it tops out at a particular number. Oh, we're coming to nightfall, right? Is that what that looks like? Okay, and I would imagine that the flies that move faster are worth more points, maybe? Let's see. Can I get one that's moving faster? No. No, I can't. All right, not the most compelling game, but, it is a game from our history. And, on this channel, on this program, it is about understanding video game history. So we know what's worked before, mechanics that we identify in games today, and how developers continue to lean into those earlier games to create those experiences that we have today. So, yes, no soundtrack for any of these games, of course, because it's he picked up 2. That sucked. Oh my goodness, he's completely cranked up here now. Yeah, need to make sure that we stay ahead there. Okay. Yeah, we're at 30 now, buddy. Where you going? Oh, I didn't even notice that my tongue is green. Or maybe it's not. Yeah, it changes depending on which palette line I'm crossing there, I think. Oh! And it's probably to like 50 or something like that, right? That you play this one out. And there's Nightfall. So I wonder if there's other things that come out at night. Probably not. That would be asking, I think, a little too much of this game. Okay, that alert just sounds like something's going to happen here. Let's see. No? Yeah, that Frogs and Flies, man. That's what this game was. Oh, there you go. That is the game. Hooray, hooray. Oh, the end. How nice is that? Yay! That's the end of the round. 40-20. There you go. That's a little bit of frogs and flies. All right, let's move on to the next M Network game. Air Raiders. Flight simulators weren't common in 1982, so the original title, Air Raiders, was an unusual sight on the 2600. Players must successfully take off from the runway to engage dogfights, but can land to refuel and restock the ammo after 10 enemies have been downed. All right, let's go ahead and check out, let's see the back of the box here. Oh, there we go. We have a horizon line there. We have the open skies and terrain at the bottom. So let's go ahead and jump in and give this a shot. Let's go ahead and take a look at the instruction manual as well. Get a little zoom in here so we can see what we're doing. Let's see. All righty. It's a dogfight. You against the enemy. You're the pilot, gunner, navigator. All in one. Enemy plane's buzzing you, and aircraft ground forces are shelling you. Get an enemy plane. Set your sights and fire. You must shoot down at least 10 planes before you can land to refuel and take off safely again. The game ends when you run out of ammo completely or when you crash. Press reset and start again. And here's how we take off. When you take off and after you press the red button, runway lights appear to move. Your plane starts to move. When you gain speed, pull back on the joystick to take off. Okay, pretty easy. Fly the plane. Left, right, okay. Airplane controls, very good. Aim and fire. You're on a gunnery mission. To fire, get the enemy in your sights and press the red button. Make a direct hit, and the enemy plane blows up. Watch the gauges. You fly to a maximum of 40 altitude. That's 40,000 feet. There aren't many planes at that altitude, so be careful when you dive. Okay, and let's see. Outland, refuel, take off again. All right, pretty straightforward. Let's go ahead and see what it's got. Oh, look at that. We are about to take off. Woo! Yeah, there you go. It's not Afterburner, but, you know, it's all right. For its time. Okay, who is shooting at me? Oh, hit the ground. All right, let's go ahead and give that a shot again. Here we go. Oh, man, we are climbing to 40,000 feet pretty fast. Now, you know what I am wondering, too? So, some of these games, because they ran at basically 60 frames a second, sometimes when you're playing them on a modern machine or using a capture card or something like that, you won't get all the frames of animation. So, I'm wondering if I'm missing something because of the way, things like OBS and screen capture happens. And this happened actually with Yar's Revenge, right? So it feels like I am missing some enemies that are firing at me from a particular area there. And we have Christopher Maine there. Hey there, buddy. Hello. Thanks for joining us today. All right, here we go. Boom. Let's see. All right. See, so I don't know where those hits were coming from. So again, I am wondering if, because once again, the way screen capture works, that I'm missing something here. So we're going to go ahead and leave this one for now, and I'm going to go ahead and play it back on my Steam Deck and my PC later and check that out. Super Challenge Football. Sports games were key to television sales campaigns, so seeing a 2600 adaptation of NFL football without the pro license was a welcome sight to gridiron fans. Aside from a lack of kicking plays, the game delivers a robust simulation for two players. Once again, that is a two-player game, so we're not really going to be able to look at that, but you can see what the game looks like. It kind of reminds me a bit of what Tecmo Bowl looked like. Of course, obviously, Tecmo Bowl with more colors and more animation and audio and everything else. But, this was, when you compared it to the earlier football game on the Atari 2600, this blew it away. And then there was the Real Sports football game that came out later, and there was a whole Real Sports line of sports titles that came out for the 2600 later in its life that really challenged the M Network stuff, right? But they were the first to make a more realistic football game. And of course, we had Super Challenge Baseball, same thing for 2 players, and International Soccer. And if we take a look at those, we can see what those look like there. Yeah, International Soccer looked like a soccer field, right? Not just a green, open, vast plain, which is the way the original 2600 version looked. We take a look at the baseball game as well. Same thing. There's actually a diamond there, and it looks very close to the Intellivision version of baseball, right? So this was a welcome release for any sports fans that were looking for a new game for their Atari VCS back in the day. So really, really cool. All right, let's go ahead and continue on. The Lost Library M Network published 17 cartridges with the 19 in various stages of development before Mattel Electronics closures. Fan historians have done their best to preserve screens, playable code, and memories of these unreleased games. Ant Bear, never officially released. Ant Bear makes its debut here for the first time. Yay! All right, so let's go ahead and play Ant Bear and figure out what we have to do here. Ant Bear tasks players with carefully navigating on an anthill with a very long tongue, grabbing insects for points, hold the fire button, and quickly retract your tongue and avoid enemy. Okay, so this is very similar to a game called Oil's Well. That was on the Commodore 64 and the ColecoVision, and I think, was it Aardvark, I believe, was another version of this. So I am used to this game. So here's what we have to do. Oh, we have a little music interlude there. Okay, you want to grab the bugs. Oh, okay, that bug, obviously the green ones I'm not supposed to grab. Okay, and then you can go down to grab these, and what you want to do, I think... Let me see, is he going to hit the line there? Okay, yeah, so you don't want to run into him head on into the green caterpillars there, but you do want to go ahead and eat the ants, right? So you can avoid... oh, okay. Ants can't hit your tongue, right? Okay, here we go. Let's see if we can at least clear this out. And shoot, no, I see the ant hit the tongue. So you're basically keeping track of all these different enemies on these different levels all the time. Hey, Stevie Time. Oh, hi. I thought this was maybe a rerun, so I hadn't said hi. Hey. Yeah, no, I'll be clear if it's a rerun or not, or if it's a premiere. We ran a bunch of premieres because I was out of the office for almost a month, actually taking a bit of an extended vacation. And so wanted to make sure that we still had episodes going. Still had episodes going while I was gone. But yeah, so this is, all right. So now we're getting into the era of games that these are just awesome and fun just to come back to on their own. No. Okay, yeah, all right. Right, so we wanted to hit that one. Okay, we want to get this ant here. Oh, I missed him. We want to get this ant here. No! Oh, gosh, man. That is so difficult to play. But it's a really good version of that Oil's Well type of game. Excellent job. Yeah, this game alone would be worth going back to all the time on this collection. So that one is really good. Okay, good job, Digital Eclipse, on getting this one in here. That's excellent. In Search of the Golden Skull, programmer Jerry Lawson, who designed Fairchannel's Channel F console, and this is one of the reasons why we actually have cartridges, or had cartridges back in the day, right? It's because of Jerry and his amazing inventions. Also created this treasure hunt adventure game that was never finished. Its large ROM and RAM requirements would have made it too expensive to produce. So you can see, yeah, look, if they had bigger cartridges with more memory, then they could do these games that were bigger, were more technically advanced. And I also have to say that the door right in the front of that mansion looks like the MCP from the Tron video game. That's what I see when I see it there. All right. Sea Battle. A favorite of Intellivision players, Sea Battle needed to be simplified for a 2600 debut in both gameplay depth and visuals, but still offers a strategic naval challenge for 2 players. It remained unpublished until 2000 and only in limited quantities. It's Stevie Time says, these older games are so addictive. Yes, that is 100% true. And some of these games, it is just the very tight gameplay and game mechanics loop that just has you going one more time, right? So, yeah, let's go ahead and just take a quick look at Sea Battle and see what this had to offer. Oh, my goodness gracious. Okay. I don't even know where to begin with this one. Because I haven't played this one in a while. So, all right. So this one is good. Let me see. So I've got this dot that's moving here, and I probably can dive, right? Or do I have to get onto land there? No. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing with it, so we're not going to go ahead and play this one because we're going to run out of time. So let's get to other games that are going to be a little easier to jump into. Sword fight. Okay, let's see. Without even looking at the instructions there. Oh, it's a 2-player game, so can't play this one. Again, some of these are, they are just a straight 2-player game. Christopher Main has any tips for becoming an SA for Amazon? I got to the one-on-one interview process last time I submitted, but was turned down. I'm an Unreal Engine generalist, 10 years, and senior technical designer. So, Christopher, thank you for stopping by. Although that's not something we typically discuss here, what I can tell you is to just pay very close attention to the materials that a company like AWS or Amazon provides to prospective applicants, and make sure that your information is done in the format in which the company expects it to be delivered. If you want to reach out to me on LinkedIn, I'm happy to go ahead and give you some advice and tips on that. But right now, we are just digging into retro games there. But again, hit me up on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to go ahead and answer some questions for you. All right, Tower of Mystery based on Dungeons and Dragons. So I think I know what this one is going to be as well. Let's see. Welcome to the Tower. Oh, my pleasure, Christopher. My pleasure. What be thy name? Whoa, okay. It's going to let us actually type a name. Let's just do CDE. How about that? Oh, no. It's falling down. Oh, okay. Look at this. All right, key. Nope. Obviously need to go into a purple door. What's this? Can I not grab that? Oh, no. I already have that. What's this? Scroll. That's probably a map, I would guess. No? Let's see. Oh! That's a beholder. Has to be a beholder. That's a hat, so I probably won't be able to pick that up either. Okay. Oh! Terrible. Terrible. All right. Look at that. That's awesome. Okay, so now can I fight with this? What do I need to do there? Ah, that's how you do it. Because you press the button and then move to the object that you want. So there's a hat. If I move to the shoe there. All right, see how much faster I'm running through these mazes? Okay. All right, so we already have that. But now I want a sword because I want to make sure that I lost the sword. Huh, okay. So we have that there. What's this? A whip. Here we go. Yes. Dang spikes. I agree. Okay, these should be steps down. Yeah, look at that. 3D on the 2600. I don't know what that glove does or where it is. Oh, there's a ghost there. I already have the glove, but it's not showing up at the bottom. See, that is really interesting. I need to figure out why that's not happening. No purple key right now. Let's go find that key. I got myself a shield. I already have a hat. I have, the Wand of Healing. So I guess if I get hit, that's what's going to happen. Let's go further down. The 3D animations. Yeah, I love it too, right? Anything to make you feel like you were playing a more advanced system. But look how fast it's moving. That's pretty impressive. Got the whip. And we're going to go further down into the dungeon. And we made our way out of there. There we go. Yes. And it was crazy fast. Yeah, it is so much more fast-paced than most games. Because what you have to remember is that the Atari 2600 ran at 60 frames a second. That's why the gameplay, even on those very primitive games, is so unbelievably smooth. So when you're playing games like Kaboom on there, where you have to catch the bombs that are falling down, or River Raid that's, scrolling, there's never any hitching on the screen. There's never any slowdown when you're playing the game. That just didn't happen then. Everything was tuned for 60, basically, fields, 30 frames, right? And that's why everything feels incredibly rock solid and smooth. We didn't have the same issues that we saw on platforms like the NES or the Genesis or the Super Nintendo. We had slowdown with the more sprites we had on the screen, right? What we did get were line flickering, because you could only have so many characters on a particular scan line. And so we did get that flickering. But as time has gone on, developers have really learned how to harness the power of that machine and create versions, more modern versions of those classic games that look closer to the arcade than ever before, right? It is pretty amazing. Christopher says, way back when I worked at an internet cafe, and for some backwards compatibility, I needed extra software to run these games on one core, so frame limit. Yeah. Yep. All right. So that was the Tower of Mystery. And the only mystery was, is it going to be any good? And the answer is yes.
Well, excuse me.
That's right. Excuse you. Okay. Mattel Electronics closes. After the 1983 game industry crash, the world's largest toy company suddenly found itself in grave danger with a negative net worth. Mattel closed the electronics division in February of 1984 and quickly sold the Intellivision assets to a group of investors led by Mattel executive Terry Valesky. It moved under new ownership led by Keith Robinson, brought Intellivision's library of games in 1997 and made them available for more than a decade. Atari acquired Intellivision assets in May of 2024, bringing both brands under the same stewardship. So that gets a round of applause. We ended the very first console war. They now sit squarely in the incredibly capable hands of Atari and the Digital Eclipse team that is over there at Atari now, that are just, again, the absolute best of the best when it comes to preserving our history, emulating these games, and bringing them forward to a new generation. One of the things I do want to say, too, is, I had the opportunity to meet Keith back in 2012 when we launched the Art of Video Games exhibition at the Smithsonian American Art Museum. In fact, Keith, Don Daglow, who featured in videos here earlier, and Mike Micah, who is basically the lead over there at Digital Eclipse and the co-founder of the company. I had all of those folks on a panel about game history at the Smithsonian. And it was just absolutely tremendous. We also had Rand Miller with us as well, one of the two Miller brothers that created the Myst game, which, of course, one of the greatest adventure games of all time, and what firmly established the CD-ROM as the storage mechanism for PCs in the 1990s. And Keith was just lived, loved, and bled in television, right? It was really just his whole being. And it was just always such a pleasure to speak with him. And he would talk so eloquently about the system, about his time, working with the teams there and wanting to just continue to share the innovations that the team at Mattel on the Intellivision team made with their platform. And we were fortunate enough to get a taste of Intellivision back on the Atari 2600 way back in the day. But of course, now you can experience it just by going ahead and getting a copy of the Atari 50, the Atari 50, the anniversary celebration, and downloading this additional DLC. So what we now call the console war started in earnest when Atari and Mattel battled for the hearts and wallets of early 1980s consumers. In this video, players and participants on both sides reflect on the 50-year-old rivalry. So I can't think of a better way to go and wrap up the show by just sitting back and hearing from those that were there.
It's been noted over the years that when there are at least 2 and sometimes 3 consoles fighting it out is when the video game business is its healthiest.
I think they were only some of the business people for whom it was war. And even though I'm the one who started saying cartridge wars, that was a turn of phrase as a metaphor as opposed to and let's draw blood. But inside the toy industry, they really did think that way. Maybe it was mid-November of '82. And so we do a demo. But the VP of marketing, his fancy suit, sitting there. The VP turns his head very slowly and he looks at me and he goes, "What you have to understand, young man, is we are at war. We are at war with Atari," which tells you the attitudes of Mattel. "Every sale that we make takes something away from Atari and gives it to us."
So while we're watching this too, I should say Don Daglow
Even if
is
I
one of the
can't sell it
best
now,
storytellers
I can
that we have
stop somebody
in
from
the
buying
whole
an Atari
industry.
now.
So if you're on YouTube and you happen to go ahead and look up Don Daglow, look up his videos with Don in there giving presentations. Not only one of the smartest people that we've ever had in the games industry, he's also one of the kindest people that you're ever going to meet. And he just loves to share his experience with anybody that asks. So definitely check him out. Don is one of my favorite people in the world.
You know, I would go over friends' houses to play ColecoVision, and I was amazed. You know, like Donkey Kong was amazing. The controller
Donkey Kong
but
was
the game
amazing.
Still a blast to play, and we just ignored that. And same thing with television. Tons of fun games in television. The controller sucked, but we didn't care. We were having fun playing the games.
That's
It's
right.
ironic that there's much less of a console war now, because I mean, how many different consoles can you play Call of Duty on? All of them, right? So it doesn't even work that way anymore.
Right.
But
That's exactly
if you wanted
right.
to play a particular game, if you wanted to play Plimpton's Baseball or whatever they called it, you had to have the Intellivision.
But I don't think it was
There no
called
other
Plimpton's
way.
Baseball.
And
But
that certainly did make it a battle.
If you go back and you look at the old Intellivision and Atari commercials and how they duel in different ways and sometimes make fun of each other and so on, you see the height of it as far as the public was concerned.
It was
That's
definitely
exactly
a
right.
console war between the two console makers, but we could use any console we wanted, and in fact would occasionally do that. We would say this game would work so much better on the Intellivision, let's put it over on the Intellivision shelf and work on it when we can. So yes, there was a console war, but there were those of us who benefited from it.
I mean, Atari was so far ahead in sales, I don't think they really worried about Intel. Maybe at first they did,
Yeah.
but
they didn't
They were
really worry
outselling
about it
Yes, it wasn't
until
war, but I think
the
that
industry
the
collapsed.
Money was so heavily on the Atari side that, you know, Mattel was fighting a losing battle out the door.
Atari sold about 27.5 million VCSs. That's between 1977
And I love that he uses
1991.
VCSs.
I don't know if that's,
The Intellivision 2 was
the
the one that
numbers
I
for
had. That's the one that we could
Intellivision
afford
are
when it
just
went down in
Mattel
price.
Electronics, but their total run was about 3 million.
Well, you know, they say that history goes to the victors. As the guy who coined the term console war, I would say actually that Atari won the first console war, because as much as I hate to say it, we never caught Atari in sales.
Yeah.
We never sold as many games, we never sold as many consoles. Making money in this business is something that you have to do in order to keep making games.
That's right.
By passion. We have a
Even though we're
passion.
the greatest art form we've
In the
ever
end,
had
console
at
wars
mankind's
are the business
disposal,
part of it.
the way we get to
We as
continue
game
making more of
makers
that
never
art
felt like
is
we
by
had a war
driving the
with the
revenue,
great
right?
games we
That
sell.
allows you to continue making more stories and more games, right? So this is an incredible collection, incredible DLC that is added onto the Atari 50th celebration. So once again, we have Arcade Origins, Birth of the Console, Highs and Lows of Atari, the Dawn of Atari PCs, the 1990s and beyond, the wider world of Atari, which we just did, not last episode, but the episode prior, and now the first console war. And I think I have 100% completed each one of those sections now. Great. So we've seen everything that it now has to offer. Look, if you are interested in video game history, if you're interested in seeing some of the games that really cemented the mechanics and the ideas and the story and allowed developers that are still working to the industry to get into the industry, make sure you go ahead and check out this compilation Once again, the Atari 50th anniversary celebration by Digital Eclipse and Atari. You can download it on Steam, on the Switch, on all major platforms, including on the new Atari VCS, which I have a copy of it there too. So yeah, so that's it. So we had a chance to go ahead and take a look through their latest addition to this, which happened to be the first console war. And that will go ahead and bring us to the end of this episode. And I want to thank you all for joining us today. And remember, if you are a video game developer of any size from AAAs to indies, make sure you head on over to aws.amazon.com/GameTech to discover the products, solutions, and services that we offer to help you on your cloud game development journey. And if you're a beginner looking for a clear starting point to help you build a career or learn to produce games in the AWS cloud, we recommend you start with an AWS Learning Plan. This set of on-demand courses will increase your knowledge of game servers and game analytics and help grow your technical skills to solve real-world game development, compute, and analytics problems, and you can demonstrate your knowledge to the world by earning digital badges. Head on over to aws.training/GameTech to start your AWS for Games learning plan today. And of course, I want to give a special shout out and thank you as always to Waterflame for allowing us to use his music here on Rewind. Make sure you head on over to his YouTube channel at Waterflame Music to check out his incredible work. And finally, if you care about preserving the history of video games as much as I do, make sure you head on over to the Video Game History Foundation's website at gamehistory.org. They're doing incredible work to preserve the history of our industry for future generations. And I want to thank you for spending your Friday afternoon with me. Have a wonderful rest of your day, an awesome weekend, and we'll see you next week on Rewind.